Hello, gorgeous people. How are you doing today? My name is Georges, and welcome to a new episode of the TV review. It's been a second that I've done a TV review. I've done mostly music on this channel, but there's a first time for everything. And I am really, and when I say really, I'm not playing. I'm really excited about the new season of House of Dragons. If you don't know what House of Dragons is, I'm about to break it down for you. But the long story short is it's basically a prequel to Game of Thrones. If you know Game of Thrones, you're gonna enjoy it. If you've never watched Game of Thrones, you're still gonna enjoy it because it's also a fucking great standalone story, even when you don't know anything about the Game of Thrones universe. So I'm going to try to release 1 to 2 videos about House of Dragons every week. As you know, and if you don't know, HBO releases 1 episode of House of Dragons every Sunday at around 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to try to do it sometime during the week, probably like Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to drop my breakdown of each episode. It's gonna be more like a comedic style breakdown. Let's not say comedic, because don't get your hopes up, because this nigga's not a comedian, okay? But some of the storylines in this show are so comical that it's going to be comedic just by me telling you what happened and my reaction to what happens. But this first episode is basically going to be a breakdown of season 1 and 2 for those of you who haven't watched. Let's start with the premise of House of Dragons. Okay, the premise is pretty basic. It's basically this old nigga called King Viserys. I'm gonna murder their names, I promise you. So the show starts with him with his wife being pregnant. His wife has a daughter and she's pregnant with a son. So the king is excited because he's about to have a son, and basically he needs a son because he needs an heir. He has a daughter, but they don't give a fuck about a daughter because women don't inherit shit in that era. So he really wants his son, and his wife is pregnant and about to give birth to a son. But long story short, his wife dies, the baby boy dies, and the wife dies too. So the nigga is sad. King Viserys is sad as fuck, and he only has his daughter. Okay, he stops being sad for 5 seconds and says, okay, never mind, I'm not sad anymore. I'm about to take my daughter and make her king or queen or whatever. And he says, my daughter is gonna be queen, and he goes around the whole kingdom saying, this little girl right here, she about to be the only queen y'all need. Okay, I don't got a son, but fuck sons, fuck them niggas. She's about to be queen, and she's the only queen y'all need. So he's taking her to events and shit, basically teaching her all the shit she needs to know to be queen. Okay, this was giving all the vibes, so I was in there for it. But we all knew that this wasn't gonna be as cute as it looked at the beginning. Although he did all that, he's also sad as fuck because remember, his wife died and his son died, and he has his best friend who is his hand. The hand of the king is basically like the advisor of the king. Think like vice president of the United States and the president. So he has his hand who is like his best friend who is there to advise him. But his best friend realizes he's like really sad, and instead of him to console his best friend, he sends his daughter. The vice president sends his daughter to go console the king. Next thing you know, the daughter and the king are fucking. The daughter of the vice president, the daughter of the hand, her and the king fucking. Now she's queen. What? How did we get here? She's a child. I was like, what? Anyway, the hand had planned that shit out. So let's go back to the daughter being named like heir to the throne, right? His daughter Rhaenyra Targaryen is named heir to the throne. Keep in mind that the girl who is like the daughter of the vice president, the daughter of the hand of the king, is also best friends with the daughter of the king. So she's best friends with the girl who's about to be heir. And now her best friend is fucking her father. Can you imagine that shit? You in here, your family's in turmoil, okay? Your mama just died, your brother just died, your dad is sad, and your best friend is now fucking your dad and about to be queen. I don't understand how Rhaenyra didn't have a breakdown. Anyway, so 20 years pass in what feels like a couple minutes in season 1, right? And everybody's getting married, has children, okay? And all the children suspiciously look very similar, okay? Now, this queen who used to be like the daughter of the hand, this little girl who is now married to the king, is also having kids with the king. And she's having boys. Remember how that nigga wanted boys the whole time? She's having hella boys. She's just pumping out them boys. But remember, the king had told everybody that like his girl was about to be queen or whatever, So she's starting to see, I'm a girl, the kingdom don't want the girl to be queen, and this bitch is out here having boys, and so and the boys are starting to see, you know what, it might be easier for us to be king, because don't nobody want this girl to be queen, you know what I mean? And so it starts like basically generational beef between them. So like the family of Rhaenyra, who is like the daughter is now fighting with the kids of Alicent, okay? And she's also fighting with Alicent, who used to be her best friend, remember? She's now fighting with Alicent and Alicent's kids, because Alicent wants her kids to inherit the throne. But like at the beginning, Alicent is acting all nice. She's like, no, I'm having kids with your dad. I know we're best friends, but I'm having kids with your dad, but I don't want your throne. But secretly, Alicent really wants her kids to inherit the throne. So like I told you, everybody's having kids, okay? Rhaenyra gets married to a black guy, a black king, a black good-looking ass motherfucker, but her kids are coming out white and white as fuck, okay? All the kids look suspiciously weird, and the whole kingdom is like, who kids are these, okay? But you know, nobody's saying that out loud, because like that family got dragons, so we don't wanna speak too loudly. Oh, this is the part that I didn't tell you. This House of Dragons had of black people. And the black people are not like slaves or nothing. They're like noble families. Let's go back to the fight for the throne, right? Viserys is getting old, he's getting sick, and he's dying. He's dying as fuck. He's basically decomposing in front of his eyes. That nigga is just dead and like crumbling, just old and dying. He's about to die, and Alicent is sitting right next to him. You remember Alicent is the girl he marries? Alicent is standing right next to him when he's about to die, and he whispers something. We don't know what he whispers, but he's whispering something about the Song of Ice and Fire or some shit, about some old historic ass stories. Alicent is standing right there and doesn't understand shit he said, but the only thing she apparently heard is, my sons are supposed to be king. So Alicent didn't hear shit, but she did hear that her sons were supposed to be king and not Rhaenyra.
I know you fucking lying, bitch.
Remember that when Viserys was alive, he went around the whole village, around the whole kingdom, telling everybody that his daughter was supposed to be queen? Alicent is saying, no, that nigga changed his mind at the last minute and said, never mind, I got boys now. Fuck the girl. My sons are about to be, one of my sons should be king. Rhaenyra is like, fuck that, I know you're lying. What do you mean? My dad never told me shit. Because like, why would my dad do that at the last minute and not even tell me? But now she's like, I'm also suspicious because like, bitch, you lying. My dad told the whole kingdom that I was gonna be queen. What you mean now he's dying and telling you that he wants your son to be king? So that's how the generational beef starts, okay? The generational beef is beefing, they're fighting each other. Anyway, and so that misunderstanding basically is the start of a civil war. It's basically the most expensive game of telephone in television history. Now, basically everybody in the kingdom gotta pick sides because we don't know who is gonna be heir now. So basically the kingdom is separated in two. Some people pick the side of the boy, there are the greens, and some people pick the side of the girl, Rhaenyra. There are the blacks. So the green crowns are basically saying that Aegon, who is the son of Alicent, is supposed to be king, and the blacks, you know, are basically saying that Rhaenyra, who is the first daughter of Viserys, is supposed to be queen. Y'all already know what side I was on, okay? First of all, it's called the greens and the blacks. What side do you think I was on? Of course I was on the side of the blacks. It doesn't even have anything to do with race, but I was like, in my head, I was like, you said black, nigga, I'm down. Also, remember Rhaenyra was supposed to be married to a black guy, although the reality is she never actually fucked with that black guy for real, because something I didn't tell you is that black guy was actually gay as fuck. He didn't want that bitch, he wanted some dick. Yeah, so basically we know that the kids that Rhaenyra were having were not the kids of the black guy, if you couldn't tell by the fact that they were all white as fuck. They weren't the kids of the black guy, but yeah, basically that black guy never really had sex with Rhaenyra and never had kids, and he ended up running away to some faraway island that nobody cares about. Maybe he's gonna come back in season 3, we don't know. And I think in season 2 you'll find out that like Rhaenyra ends up fucking with her uncle. Don't ask questions. Don't ask me too much questions, okay? This is complicated. Anyway, so let's go back to the story. Rhaenyra is fighting with Alicent's kids. Basically, the kingdom is divided in two, the blacks and the Browns, but someone decides to kind of get them together and try to talk that shit out. And right when it's about to work, right when they're about to be like some diplomacy, because nobody wants war, right? So right when there's about to have like a discussion to settle, to like make an agreement among each other not to fight, another one of Alicent's kids kills one of the kids of Rhaenyra. And so the diplomacy ends there, because now they're like, we just fighting, nigga. Because Rhaenyra is like a son for a son. You killed my son, I'm gonna have one of your sons killed my son. We're gonna have to kill one of Alicent's son for this shit to be okay. And that's where season 1 ends. I don't know if that made sense at all. It probably did not, but that's where season 1 ends. Anyway, I guess peace was nice while it lasted. All right, so that was season 1. Let me break down season 2 for you, and I'm gonna make this faster because I took way too long explaining season 1. Okay, so season 2 begins with, again, everyone agreeing that like war is terrible. Okay, then they immediately start doing war. So as we know, Rhaenyra is still grieving her son, and Daemon, who is Rhaenyra's uncle. He was basically the little brother of Viserys. Daemon hears this and decides the appropriate response is hiring 2 random criminals. And so the uncles hires 2 guys to go kill one of the sons of Alicent. Okay, of course the assassination that Daemon had planned goes horribly, because they actually end up killing a really small baby. After that, because Daemon was responsible for that whole baby being killed shit, Daemon basically just decides to leave to go wander in the woods. Don't ask me why he does that. He just decides to go wander in the woods. So he spends half the season just wandering in a place called Harrenhal, having magical ass a hallucination, because the place he's hanging out at is like possessed or some shit. Okay, something I had forgotten to tell you is basically at the end of season 1, they're all in that one house, right, called King's Landing, which is the house of the king. But when they start fighting, really fighting, and are about to go into war, Rhaenyra goes into like some other house, some other palace, and so the only people who are left in actually the king's house, King's Landing, is Alicent and Aegon, who's Alicent's first child, and he's now ruling King's Landing. Anyway, tensions are high, and now the blacks and the greens are at war for real, and now we have the first real battle of the war. Because right now it was war the whole time, but really it wasn't really war because they weren't really fighting. And so now we have our first real war called the Battle of Rook's Rest. Jesus Christ, am I just bad at English? Because what the fuck is this? During that battle, Aegon gets wounded. He gets cooked thoroughly. He gets like really burned bad. Aegon, who's supposed to be king right now. Actually, the reason Aegon got burned was because of a plan that his little brother Aemond had planned the whole time, because Aemond secretly also wants to kill his older brother and take the throne. All of them want to take the throne. So Aegon gets cooked thoroughly during that war, and he basically spends the rest of the season looking like rotisserie chicken. Like he's just burned for crisp, right? Barely alive. I don't even know how he survived, because I thought he was dead the whole time. But he's still alive, but he's basically burned. So Aemond basically takes over, because like the guy is burned to crisp. He can barely talk. He's just sitting on the bed, just rotting away the same way his dad died. So Aemond basically takes control and starts acting like the most angry middle manager of the kingdom, right? He's supposed to only be there while his brother is recovering, but he's now just being angry as fuck. Y'all all know you have that one middle manager who they give him a little bit of power and he's acting batshit crazy. That's how Aemond is acting. Meanwhile, back in the other kingdom where Rhaenyra is, because Rhaenyra went into hiding, she's no longer in King's Landing. So Rhaenyra realizes that she needs more dragons, because like that fight didn't happen the way she wanted to go, the first battle. So she's deciding, you know what? If we really want to fight these niggas for real, we need more dragon riders, because Rhaenyra got hella dragons. She got dragons galore, but she don't got enough people to ride the dragons. Rhaenyra realizes, if I want to win this war, I gotta have more dragon riders, because I got hella dragons, and if I get motherfuckers who can ride the dragons, then I can just basically go into King's Landing and burn all these motherfuckers and take my throne. So basically what she does is she organizes a contest from all the niggas in the kingdom. She says, if you are good enough to climb a dragon and ride it, then you basically get to be made a knight. okay? And you can just ride this dragon with me and we can go burn this motherfuckers at King's Landing and take my throne back. So all the niggas who have never been able to do any shit in your life get in line and says, let's go try to ride this dragon because we have nothing to lose anyway. Worst case scenario, we get burned by a dragon and we die, you know? Because these niggas got nothing to lose. That tells you how poor some of these motherfuckers were. But basically they start, some contestants show up, some die immediately and they get burned by the dragon, and some of them unexpectedly bond with the dragons, become dragon riders. So by the finale of season 2, both sides have assembled giant armies, basically, because they're getting ready for the second battle, giant fleets, and an alarming number of dragons. I don't know where the dragons are coming out, but like Rhaenyra is basically just finding dragons in her building, basically. I don't know. We never knew that Rhaenyra had that many dragons, but now she's just finding hella dragons. And Alicent, who is in King's Landing, is hearing about the fact that Rhaenyra is having all these dragons. She's hearing about all these dragon riders, and she's like, shit, if Rhaenyra comes in here with this dragon, we'll all cook. Literally. So she's like, let me go try some diplomacy with Rhaenyra. So she sneaks into Rhaenyra's castle. So this is the first conversation that Rhaenyra and Alicent are actually gonna have, a first quiet conversation they're actually gonna have ever since Viserys died, right? So Rhaenyra has a lot of things on her chest, and she's telling this bitch like, why did you lie about my dad telling you that he wanted your sons to be king, when I know my dad wanted me to be queen? He told everybody he wanted me to be queen. Why are you lying? And Alicent is like, I heard what I heard, and he told me this story of like bone, ice, and fire or whatever, and in the story he said he wanted my son to be king. Rhaenyra is like, tell me exactly what my daddy said, because I feel like you misheard something. Tell me exactly what my daddy said. So Alicent says, okay, bet. So she says exactly what her daddy said, because apparently she had actually heard the real shit. So she said exactly what her daddy said, and Rhaenyra is like, bitch, this is an old ass story that my dad used to tell me. He was actually not even talking about your kids at all. My dad didn't give a fuck about your kids. She didn't say that. She didn't say that, but she basically tells Alicent, you misheard, bitch. He wasn't talking about your kids. He was talking about some old story that needs to be passed along. He wasn't talking about, when he said Aegon, he wasn't talking about your son. He was talking about some old ass king who already died called Aegon. And Alicent is like, damn. So I basically started this whole war shit because I misunderstood. This whole thing could have been solved by hearing aids. This is crazy. And so that's where season 2 ends. I don't know how the summary was. It was probably the shittiest summary ever, but I know I enjoyed it. Let me know if you enjoy it. I know I probably got a bunch of shit wrong, but the main storyline is what I told y'all. You know, this is what you need to know to jump into season 3. If you want to correct me, go ahead. I'm not gonna read it, but go ahead and insert that in the comments. Good for you. But you know what? I'm here. The gist of the story is there. So stay tuned for my review of episode 1 of season 3. I'm gonna drop that in the next couple days. I just watched it and that shit was so dope. It was crazy dope. It was long as hell too. It was like 90 minutes. I'm going to post it sometime this week. But yeah, let me know what you think of this review. I'm about to edit the shit out of this. It's gonna be so hard to edit. But yeah, that's all for me today. Stay tuned for the next episode coming in within the next 2 days. As always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
And you're not gonna want to miss what we have upcoming on the VMA pre-show. I know that's right.